Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Om Yasha Allah, Koholoyim La Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Do my honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who do rule well, that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water to all the Akim and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to the best of their ability. Shachana Nawah, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this article is in essence, which is I'm assuming probably still a so-called black company, but probably bought out by the so-called white man. They keep the names and and generally act as if it's so-called owned by it's owned by so-called black people. In reality, it's not. But anyway, that's not the point. But I wanted to touch on this article. It says conservative groups video shows animated Frederick Douglass calling slavery a compromise to achieve something great. And this is the way that these so-called white people look at you. Now this is PragerU. If you've ever heard of this guy named Dennis Prager. I actually used to listen to his show. He has a radio show or whatever. And he's a small hat, 1948er. I think like a Russian JEW. You know what I'm saying? But this is the way that they look at you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the real and true Hebrew Israelites. So he puts together this cartoon, which I'm not going to play. I'm just going to read a little bit of this, and I'll, go off into a few things, a couple of points on this. It says Frederick Douglass has a new cartoon, but the depiction of the black American, and we're not black, we're actually different shades of brown. There's no such thing as black people. We're Hebrew Israelites from our respective tribe. And but it says, but the depiction of the black American abolitionist has been labeled as quite misleading and as well as being factually inaccurate. Slavery was a compromise. The Black Lives, this is what this guy said. Slavery was a compromise. The Black Lives Matter movement led to more crime. Masculinity helped win World War II. These phrases are just a few of the lessons that are included in the new PragerU Kids videos put out by the conservative nonprofit organization PragerU. So it's a nonprofit. They killing the game. He's pulling in all kinds of untaxed funds, which is what they do anyway. Just a bunch of goddamn robbers and thieves. It says, which publishes short videos on political and international issues, which was founded in 2009 by Dennis Prager, according to the nonprofit media Matters for America. Prager is an anti-LGBTQ pundit and conservative talk radio show host. Okay, it says in the video in question, the cartoon, Douglass is depicted answering two modern-day children's questions, saying our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew it would do terrible harm to the nation. The video continues. Their priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined the Union if they had banned it. Later in the video lesson, the animated Douglass says, our system is wonderful, and the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. We just need to convince enough Americans to be true to it. See? When one of the children asks if he was in agreement with the decision, Cartoon Douglass states, I am certainly not okay with slavery, but the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it. See? To add insult to injury, in what is essentially a complete revision of history, the animated Douglass then mentions William Lloyd Garrison, a fellow abolitionist and friend, describing him as someone who refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire. To which one of the children responds, how that sounds familiar. We've got that type in our time. So there you have it, man. It says of all the PragerU propaganda you've seen, and they're experts at propaganda. Most of the shit you see on TV is propaganda, and they own those stations, man. All of the PragerU propaganda you've seen, this might be the worst. Tweeted an investigative reporter and Arthur David Heath, continuing, Frederick Douglass takes a dig at BLM while praising the founding fathers as abolitionists and calling the Constitution a glorious liberty document. You can't make this shit up, man. This isn't the only PragerU video that has been called into question. Another depicts the colonizer Christopher Columbus as saying slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even among the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed. No, he continued. Before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society at the time treat as no big deal? The controversial videos have received even more criticism after Marissa Strait, CEO of PragerU, made the announcement about the partnership with the state of Florida as an education vendor to provide supplemental lessons. So they're getting rid of, they don't want critical race theory talk there. They're getting rid of, certain, history, as far as slavery. But they got these fuckers coming up with what you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans should see as history. See, and matter of fact, let me grab a quick scripture. Hey, you can't make it up. And this is why the scripture says, never trust thine enemy. You're never to trust these people, man. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We're not ignorant of the fact that they do shit. They slither their asses around and they hide it when people catch on. And then they actually, paint this picture of, yeah, we made a mistake, but look at the progress we've made. If it wasn't for us putting them into slavery, America wouldn't be such a great country. And of course, you guys were swinging from trees and jungles. They give you all this bullshit, because they're in control of the narrative. That's why we tell you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're not free here, because they're in control of your curriculum. Just think about it, these kids now, and they're showing this shit to black, so-called black kids, Hispanics, Native American children. So when these children get older, this is all they're gonna know is, and then they'll, slither their way out of this. Really, what they want to do is just get rid of slavery all at one time. And as time goes on, they eventually will. But we're praying that, we're hastening the Lord's coming, man. So they don't even get an opportunity to get to the point of, indoctrinating our children to make them think that they're fucking Americans and that they're equal with the same people that stole the place and that stole them and enslaved our people and done all these damn atrocities to them. See, they want you to forget about all that stuff. But see, the Lord, matter of fact, let's get that. The Lord's not forgetting none of this stuff, man. And this guy, he's supposedly, he's this expert on the Bible. He's supposedly this expert on the Tanakh. But he's not going to tell you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that you're not actually those people, that you're actually the Hebrew Israelites, and that he's a convert. He's not going to tell you that, man. He's not going to tell you that. He's going to, continue on and push the narrative of, hey, things are just fine. You're equal with us. You're able to go out here and do whatever we've done. But in the meanwhile, they're writing the laws. They got the Constitution is theirs. We didn't have anything to do with no fucking Constitution. No 13 amendments. None of the shit that's going on here. We have nothing to do with it. We just get up, go to work, and we're tributaries in this country, man. We pay our taxes, or they take them from us. We don't actually pay them. They actually steal the fucking money on a week-to-week basis or whenever you get paid. But this right here is Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which has been is now, and that which is to be has already been. And Yahweh required that which is past. So the Lord is not forgetting about the stuff that they've done to us. They can push all they want to. This new lesson plan that they have, that shit not gonna work. Because the Lord is riling Jake up, man. Jake is starting to see that these fuckers are the enemy, man. Okay, it says, so again, they're using these people that are telling you that Frederick Douglass, he had no problems with the founding fathers, but they made a sacrifice. Not you Negroes. They made a sacrifice and made this country great. It says in context, Salakia, this occurred a mere months after the state of Florida changed their educational standards, including the curriculum around blacks benefiting from slavery. This is what they were just saying a few weeks back. You should be proud of slavery. You should be glad slavery existed, because why? Now you can become construction workers, you're plumbers. You learned these skills during slavery, carpentry. You know, you see, it says the state education department has said these materials align to Florida's revised civics and government standards. Can't make it up, man. Yeah, in the comments, you already know. You already know. We ain't even got to go into the comments, man. But I did pull this. Let me see if it's still here. This was yesterday, because I wanted to get off into this. This guy right here. Here's the guy right here, Dennis Prager. This is him. Born August 2nd, 1948, is an American conservative radio talk show host and writer. He is the host of a nationally syndicated radio talk show, The Dennis Prager Show. In 2009, he co-founded PragerU, which is basically like a university, so to speak, which primarily creates 5-minute videos from an American conservative perspective, among other content, right? He's aged 75. Because I actually put in, because I already knew that he was a small hat. It says that his initial political work, starting in 1969, concerned refusnik, the Soviet Jews who were unable to immigrate. He gradually began offering more and broader commentaries on politics. His views generally align with social conservatism. Well, he's a Jew, a so-called Jew, Jewish, right? Okay, so I also put in Frederick Douglass, because see, a lot of our people don't know this. Was Frederick Douglass' father white? Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey was born into slavery in Talbot County, Maryland. The year was probably 1818, and he would later celebrate February 14th as his birthday. But no precise records exist. And check it out. His mother, Harriet Bailey, was a plantation slave. His father, a white man whom he never met. Now, if this is true, then Frederick Douglass was a fucking white man, just with darker skin. And we go into this all the time about this is not a color thing. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are a Hebrew Israelite from your respective tribe. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, you're a damn Edomite. Because there's no such thing as black and white people in the Bible. Those are colors. Those are not nationalities. Those are not ethnicities. As a matter of fact, let's go up into that. Because when I say, and these are the people that they push on our people during so-called Black History Month. They give you all these bullshit pictures, and they tell you about these people. They give you who they want you to see. They're not gonna give you no fucking picture of Nat Turner for your Black History Months, like you. They're not gonna give you any of those actual men that actually really was like, man, fuck y'all. They're gonna give you your soft ass people like Martin Luther King. They're gonna throw some Rosa Parks in the mix. They're gonna give you this clown, Frederick Douglass. They might give you a Malcolm X, which were all people that couldn't redeem us anyway. They couldn't get us out of the shit that we was in, all running around calling themselves black or African Americans and all these different bywords, which is one of the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, that we would be called bywords, and we'd be in astonishment, because we're fucked up as a people, man. You have to be fucked up as a people when they can push shit like this and it's no problem. Here you go. You got the small hatter, the 1948er, telling you that slavery was. I've heard him, and you know what? I normally would listen to his show while I'm driving with Edomites in the ride with me, and it makes them so fucking uncomfortable, because the shit that he says is embarrassing to them, and they want to change the station. But I'm doing the driving, and if I'm driving, I'm gonna listen to what I want to listen to, and they be so surprised, like, how does he even know about this? You see what I'm saying? But let's get this book of Numbers, right, to go off into the fact that Frederick Douglass, if his mother was raped by a so-called white man, and a so-called white man is his father, and he's a fucking Edomite, he's just a chocolate covered white man, right? So let's go into Numbers. I'm gonna get straight to the point. Numbers chapter 1 verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. So your pedigree, your lineage, your genealogy, it goes through your father, because your father carries the seed. It don't make no difference what you come out looking like. That's the reason why when we speak on this truth, you have to know that this is not a color thing. It's not a black and white thing, because the Israelites look like all kinds of people these days. Why? Because we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, first off, and the men of our families have had sex with the women of these other nations, and those male boys that are born out of these particular get-togethers, they're Israelites. It don't make no difference if they come out looking like the mama she might be a North Korean or South Korean or Chinese or so-called Japanese or a so-called white person for that matter. But there's plenty of people out here that look like us that are not actually us. And that's the point that I wanted to make with this. You see? Because you have, like, say for instance, you got like Tracy Ellis Ross. A lot of people think that she's a black woman, so-called black woman, but she has a so-called white father. She's an Edomite. Lenny Kravitz is one of them. The Maury twins, those little twins that played on the TV show, those are Edomites, because they happen to just get a little bit of their mom's texture of hair and color. That doesn't mean shit. Jussie Smollett, those Smollett kids and shit, those are Edomites. And the list goes on. And it's some way darker than them that are actually Edomites. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to just, touch on this for a hot sec. I didn't want to keep the lesson long. I seen this yesterday though. And as I was reading it, of course, it pissed me off. But I mean, it is what it is. We understand this stuff. We understand that this is what the enemy does, because they're trying to actually cover up the fact that you are the Hebrew Israelites first off. And then at the same time too, they're trying to cover up all the crimes. But the Lord knows the crimes. The Lord has taken, matter of fact, the Lord wrote this whole movie. so you're not going to be, scratching out no part of the script that you want to scratch out. The Lord got the script, on deck. So all the players are in play, and there's nothing you can do about playing your part. This guy just playing his part. And look at this dude. And he might not even have looked like this. But there are Edomites that look just like this man right here, that they're calling Frederick Douglass. Because you have to realize that the so-called white man, and that goes off into the parable of the wheats and tares. Because when you look at wheat and tares, if you grew up, around farmland, wheat and tares look exactly alike until they get to a harvest standpoint. When they get to when they grow to their top height, just before you're gonna, just before you're gonna, pluck it or pick it or whatever, that's when they start to look different. All the way through the growth process, though, they look exactly alike. Matter of fact, I normally do it. Let's just do it then. Let's, for more edification. Let me pull a tab, and I'm just gonna put in wheat and tares, right? Because that's why I'm saying you have that parable of the Lord. He's gonna bundle up the wheat and put it to his barn. That's representative of the children of Israel. And he's going to bundle up the tares and burn them. That's the representation of Esau. See? And it gave our people, white Jesus and all kind. Man, the Lord is not going to forget all that stuff, man. And here you go right here. Now, let me go up into, let's go into some images. Because I grew up in the South, and I remember seeing stuff like this. And I never really knew the difference until, got into the scriptures. But here's the similarities right here. You got wheat on the left side. You got the tares on the right side. Now, they can be confused as they're growing up. But once they get to the point of, Slovakia at the plantation. Once they get to the point of, the top growth, then you can see the differences, man. So you have actual people that's out here that look like fucking Wesley Snipes. That's actually a so-called white man. He just has a dark skin because he picked up more of his mother's traits if she was a so-called black woman. That's a real basic understanding that we have to have when we come into this truth, man. You can't just say because a person looks like a so-called white man, he's a so-called white man, because he could be an Israelite. That's like the brothers was going in like last week, I think it was, doing the lessons on one of the camps, or WFI, I think it was, had, what appeared to be a so-called white man kissing their boots. They're never even asking him, like, okay, well, you got to do some background. Well, what are your parents? What do they go back to? What's your father? You know what your grandfather is? You ask them questions like that. Because if their spirit resonate with the scriptures, then they could be an Israelite. And you don't want to make a mistake of offending one of the little ones. I put it that way, roughly paraphrasing. So I'm at the plantation. I got to make a quick run, but I seen this, man, and it kind of made me a little angry. But at the same time too, some of this, a lot of these lessons, they'll make you hot, under the collar a little bit, man, because these people fucking, man, they gonna pay. They gotta pay. They're gonna pay, and they shown no mercy, so they're getting none. The goddamn Dennis Prager show. I I haven't listened to him in a while, but I used to sit there and listen to him, and them damn Edomites would be like, "Okay, can we change the station?" Nah, I like listening to talk radio because they expect me. Because when it's like, I noticed you never listen. I noticed that you never listen to music. I don't want to hear no goddamn music. I'm straight. I want to listen. When I'm driving, which I'm in my vehicle now, I'm about to do some runs right now, and I'm gonna be listening to edifying videos, and that's it. I'm either listening to that, but if they're riding with me when I'm at the plantation, then I'm listening to talk radio. So with that, hey, I pray that this lesson was edifying. Kwame Yashala.